Hey, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about attention in machine learning. If you recall, last lesson we talked about sequence-to-sequence translation based on Sutskever 2014. And today we're going to be talking about another paper by Bahdanau from the same year, but a little later, with the new idea of using a concept that will be literally called attention for machine learning, especially for translation. Now, to recap, last lesson we talked about this idea using the Starbucks metaphor, that you go in, for example, to the coffee shop. You say, I want a large black coffee, and the barista is going to compress what you think you want or what you said you want into these little boxes on the side of the cup. And then they're going to give the cup to the barista, and the barista is going to make your drink and call it out in his own Starbucks speak. He's not going to say large black coffee, he's going to say venti Americano, right? Something like that. So basically in this model, you've got the input sequence, which is pretty long, and you kind of compress it into this intermediate state. And then you decompress it, or you decode it, right, into the target state. So you're going to compress large black coffee into some ticks on some boxes, and then you're going to decode that into venti Americano. All right, so that's one way to approach this. The problem they had with that was it works great with smaller sentences, but it kind of breaks down with the larger ones because you're always compressing stuff into this small intermediate state. So the innovation that Bahdanau did was Bahdanau, sorry, pronounced that wrong, is they're going to give, we're going to transfer all of the intermediate states. So let's switch up the metaphor here. This coffee shop thing is breaking down at this point. If you're old school, when you read a book, you might have those paper index cards, 3 by 5 inches in the United States. And you might take notes for each chapter on an index card, and then at the end, you're going to have an index card for each chapter of the book, and you're going to have a stack for the whole book. And then instead of rereading the whole book, you can just reread the index cards, right? And that's how you're going to study. So we're going to take the same concept, except we're going to do it word by word. So in these machine learning algorithms, we're really processing things one word at a time, and they refer to those words as token. Token being an instance of a word, right? Let's just cut right to the chase. Let's say we want to translate the Spanish sentence, Yo quiero Taco Bell. So you might have remembered that advertising campaign. And it was funny because if you're not from the United States, I'll explain it. And you're not a certain age, I'll explain it. So Americans are famously bad at foreign languages for a lot of reasons. English too, which is interesting. And anyway, but Americans are good at Spanglish, which is kind of like a mix between Spanish and English. Even like a quarter of the United States knows Spanish to some level. So there's a lot of bilingualism in the United States. So anyway, Yo quiero Taco Bell is a phrase every American knows means I want Taco Bell, which is a popular fast food restaurant in the States that's inspired by the cuisine of, I think, northern Mexico and Texas, but somebody correct me on that in the comments. I'm not exactly sure what Taco Bell is supposed to be. I want to think it's Tex-Mex, so some kind of mix between Texan and northern Mexican, which is actually my favorite cuisine. But I digress. Using these new methods, how do we can translate Yo quiero Taco Bell into English? If you allow me, I'm going to give you guys a metaphor, and you can just sit back and imagine this scene, and then it's just going to click because your mind can already see all the pieces. I'm trying to make this as quick and painless as possible. I know some of you guys, myself included, are no pain, no gain, but we'll try to make this as pain-free as possible, and we'll save the pain for later when we really need it. Anyway, imagine a Spanish-speaking woman, okay? A woman who speaks Spanish, and her job is to encode this sentence, yo quiero Taco Bell. And she's got a stack of blank index cards, and she's got a pen. Takes out the first index card, and she writes yo, Y-O, on the index card. Which, for those of you who don't know, that's the Spanish word for I, okay? And so she writes Y-O on the top of the index card, and then she flips it over. And on the back, she draws a picture of an eye, like the body part I'm pointing at it. She draws an eye. And then she takes the next card. Oh, wait a second. She not only draws an eye on this first card, she also draws a heart, but a smaller heart. Okay? And then she draws a taco, but a smaller taco, and a bell, but a smaller bell. So on the first card on the top side, we got yo, the word yo, Y-O. And on the back side, you've got the eye, like the body part, big one, big eye, a small heart, and a small taco, and a small bell. Okay, that's card one. She puts it down. Then she takes out card two. And on the front of the card, she writes quiero, which, not to spoil it, means I want in Spanish. You might have had that. It means want, right? You might have had that in high school. So the front of the card is quiero, and the back of the card, you've got an eye, but this time it's small, okay? This is important. This eye is small. The heart is big on card number 2, right? Because it symbolizes quiero, it means it symbolizes want. And then you've got a taco, like the food, and then a bell, which is also small. That's card 2. Card 3 comes up, and she writes on the front taco. And on the back, you've got a little eye, a little heart, a big taco, like the food, and a small bell. That's card 3. She puts it down. 4th card. On the front, she writes bell, B-E-L-L. And on the back, you've got a small eye, a small heart, a small taco, and a big bell. Okay, now we got these 4 cards. So she takes the stack of cards, and we're going to go with the metaphor here, so it'll click later. And she walks over to a desk. At the desk is sitting an English-speaking man. The English-speaking man is sitting at the desk, and the Spanish-speaking woman gives him this stack of 4 index cards. English-speaking man takes them out, and he lays them all out on the desk. Except he's got the pictures up. So he's got all these pictures of the hearts and the eyes and the tacos and the bells. None of the words. The English-speaking man never sees the Spanish words. In fact, this English-speaking man doesn't know Spanish anyway, so they wouldn't make a difference to him. But it's important for this method that it's clear that not only does the English-speaking man not speak Spanish, he never sees the cards. Anyway, so he lays out all these cards with the pictures up. Now, they were in order. So the first thing he's going to do is take the word with the card with the big I, and he put it on the center of the desk. This was the word for the Spanish word yo, right? Which in English means I. And he's got this word in the center of the desk. This first card with the big I is in his center of attention, right? The center of the desk and his center of attention. Okay? And next to it, he's got the card for quiero, So that's the one with the big heart, right? The one with the big heart. But it's not quite in the center. It's like off to the side, to the right a little bit. And then you've got the words for taco and you've got the word for bell. And they're further out. I think we just lost my camera there. That's not good. Let's see if I can bring it back. Let's see. We'll go back to the FaceTime camera. I'm kind of like too lazy to edit. And it's blank too. That sucks. All right, so basically when he's translating the word yo, that card is in the center of his desk, is at the center of his attention, and he's got the pictures facing up, which in this example has a really big eye, and then a small heart, and then a small taco and a small bell. So, and then further out, he's got the card for quiero, which has got the big heart on it, and then he's got further out the words for taco and bell. So while this card with the big eye is in the center of his attention, in the center of his desk, he takes out one of his blank index cards. And he sees a big eye, and he says, okay. And then he sees a heart a little bit out, and then the taco further out, and the bell further out. I'm probably going to click for him sooner rather than later. So he says, okay, my gut intuition is, as an English speaker, that this first word is going to be I. It's the most probable explanation, most probable translation. He writes down I on the first index card, and he puts this index card with the letter I in the upper right-hand corner, in the far right-hand corner of his desk. And he says, okay, we got word one done. What's next? We're going to work on the next card, which was the big heart. Oh, he's going to put this big heart, this card with the big heart in the center of his desk, center of his attention. And that card with the big eye, the body part, he's going to say, okay, yeah, that's going to help us out too, but it's not the center of our attention. We're going to put it over here to the little left. And the taco card and the bell cards are still kind of out there. He's not there yet. He said, okay, we got a big heart. And we got the word I here. We've already got the word I done. What's the most probable word here? My gut is telling me love, but I'm not really sure. I love, or I heart. I heart something, I like something. It says, it's probably I like. Because I see the Taco Bell out there, so yeah. I'm going to put like as on the next index card. And then he takes that and he puts it in the far right corner of the desk under the word for I. So now he's got two cards. First one says I, and the next one says like. Now he could have chosen love. He could have said I love, right? That makes sense too for a heart. Or I heart something, right? Can't you say that in English? Like, I heart ice cream, or I heart that kind of music. It means I like, right? You can tell me in the comments, because I really don't remember. Anyway, we've got two cards in the far right-hand corner. I like. We've got this heart card in the center of the desk at our center of attention. This attention concept here is crucial. And we're halfway done. Now the next card was taco, right? It was the taco in the center of attention. It's like, oh yeah, the picture of a taco. It's like, oh, okay, that's a taco, that's easy. Just write taco. Done. And he puts it in the far right-hand corner. I like taco. All right? And now we're down to the last card. He takes this card with the big bell and he puts it in the center of his attention. And to the left, he's got taco. And further out there, he's got the heart card, and even further out there, he's got the card with the big eye. And he said, okay, oh, I know this. Taco Bell is the name of the restaurant. Duh. Done. He writes Bell on the last card, and he puts it in the far right-hand corner. Now we got, I like Taco Bell. And if he was in a different mood, he might say, I love Taco Bell. It depends if for your heart means like or love, right? In this context, and how much you're into Taco Bell, or maybe I heart Taco Bell, whatever. You know, there can be different translations of Spanish, yo quiero Taco Bell. I think the right one is I like Taco Bell, but, you know, someone correct me in the comments. I haven't spoken Spanish in forever. Like, maybe I love Taco Bell is also a good translation, or I heart Taco Bell. So we've got all these translations for yo quiero Taco Bell, but the important thing here is the guy is paying different amounts of attention to different cards at different steps of his translation, and he can always see his translation progress there in the far right-hand corner, and he's always kind of intuiting what's the most probable word next. Is like more probable? Is love more probable? Right? And then we're done. We have the translation right in the far right-hand corner of the desk. So he takes these 4 cards and he gives them to you. And that's how it works. Now to go to like kind of more nitty-gritty. So you kind of have in your mind's eye the intuition of how this works, and now we'll go kind of more in depth. The Spanish-speaking lady is our encoder, right? She is encoding from Spanish into what we call a hidden state. So the hidden state here is these pictograms here, right? The picture of the eye, the picture of the heart, the picture of the taco, and the picture of the bell. That's the hidden state. Why is it called hidden? It's not, doesn't mean secret here. It just means it's like under the hood, or what's another expression for under the hood? I can't remember right now. Behind the scenes, yeah. So it's like behind the scenes, right? So it's not something the user's going to see, right? That's what we mean by hidden here. And we calculate this hidden state for each of these words. Yo quiero Taco Bell. And we record it for each of these words. Now, the old way we did it in Sutskever 2014 was we just kept overwriting this hidden state, and we just had one at the end. But in this one, we keep the hidden state for each of these words. And we call these words tokens in this kind of machine learning. And a token just means an instance of a word. Okay, so we've got all these hidden states, these 4 hidden states, yo quiero Taco Bell. And now at this point, the encoder has done her job. The Spanish speaker, she was the encoder translating from Spanish into these hidden states. She hands them over to the English speaker. He is the decoder. So again, we've got this encoder-decoder model. And the difference is, instead of giving her one card that kind of summarizes the whole sentence, or the whole idea, or the feeling, whatever you want to call it, or the whole image, and that image was pretty spectacular from that advertisement, right? It was some Chihuahua, some kind of like little dog, saying that he liked Taco Bell, and I don't know if he was eating a taco or whatever. So if you're old enough to remember that commercial, you'll have an image of your mind. But anyway, I digress. Instead of just one card, we've got 4 cards. Instead of just one hidden state, we've got 4 hidden states, and we hand the stack of cards to the English speaker guy, and he's the decoder. He puts the cards on his desk, and it's important here that we've got the center of attention, which is the middle of the desk, and at each stage we're paying more attention to some cards and less attention to others. So we're kind of visualizing it as distance from the center is how much attention we're paying. Okay, that's one way to do it. There's other ways to do it too, but yeah, this attention is going to be the main thing here. And that's pretty much it. When we're translating the first card, the I is in the center of attention, so the attention is going to be higher. These attentions are like soft maxes, so it's going to be from 0 to 1, but like some long decimal. And as we translate, we put the translations in the far right-hand corner, and we can just kind of look over, and then we're done. So that's how we're going to conceptualize attention. Now, if you're a Bike Club member, you're going to have this card here. And you are a Bike Club member, right? I don't know if I can sneak in that shameless plug, but I just did it. And if you're hearing this, I got away with it. So there's that. Here we have it on the Mac OS. So, okay. At the top here, except I disappeared. Where did I go? Can I bring myself back? Yes. Okay, so I lost the connection for a second. Now we're back. So here we are in the code here. You've got all the imports here. This is all the stuff we're going to use. Here you've got my explanation, my write-up of what we did. And here we go. We're going to actually do the thing. You're going to demonstrate this live on your laptop right now if you're a Bike Club member. If not, you're going to watch. And so what you're going to want to do is hit this play button here to start the code, okay? And here you've got an explanation. We're going to randomize using a seed number of 42, which if you had read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you'll know that. And otherwise, I'm not going to explain. All right, so here we go. Without further ado, hit enter to continue. And we've got our Spanish-English. First, we're going to build the vocabulary. So we're going to take all of our Spanish words, and we're going to assign a whole number, an integer to each. And that's going to be our vocabulary, our Spanish vocabulary. And then we're going to take each unique English word and assign a whole number to it as well. And then we have the vocabularies. We're going to hit enter to continue. And it's going to list all the steps that we're going to do. We're going to turn all the IDs into vectors. That means all these numbers here. We're going to have give each word a list of decimal point numbers. Those are called vectors. You can go back to the word to vec lesson there if that's not clear. And then we're going to read every source word and keep the hidden state. So that's like, for example, you've got the word quiero, and we write on the back the big heart and the small I and the small taco and the small bell. That's the hidden state. And that's also going to be a vector, which is a list of these decimal point numbers. Again, if it doesn't make sense to you, you need to go back then and do the word to vec lesson until it makes sense, until it clicks. Attention scores against the decoder state. So remember we talked about having something in the center of attention with the English speaker on his desk. So that's going to have a score from 0 to 1. It's going to be some decimal point number, and what they call a soft max, and that's going to be the attention. So attention here, I guess it's important to know, is conceptualized as a number between 1 and 0, as a decimal between 1 and 0. You can think of it like as a percentage if you want. That might be easier. And then softmax is the nerd term for that here. Decoder LSTM writes the output one word at a time. So if you remember from the last lessons, we had what was called long short-term memory. That's what they mean by LSTM here. And the idea was that was like a final state that they kept updating with each word, with each part of the coffee order, right? And they kept updating it, which is why it was a long-term memory, and it was short-term in the sense that they just updated it at each step of the way. That's called a long short-term memory, and what's different about this approach is we're saving that state for each word, whereas in the old approach we would just throw it away. Linear layer scores next word candidates, right? So when the English speaker has all these cards on the desk, and he's thinking, okay, what do we do for quiero? Right? And he just sees this big heart with like all the other stuff. And he's like, is it like? Is it love? Is it heart? What is it? The model is just going to pick the most likely version. It's going to calculate probability for each of the words and say, okay, I think it's 90% quiero means like here, and 80% it means love, and 50% it means heart, okay? And if you were just a person doing it and not a machine, you might just have an intuition, a feeling. You ever take a written exam and it's multiple choice, and they always say to go with your first gut feeling, what it could be, your first intuition. Yeah, this is kind of like that. Maybe they should call machine learning intuition, but I digress. Oh, we're almost done. Hit enter. And this is actually doing the machine learning on your laptop, which is pretty cool. You are actually training the model on your machine. Pretty far out. Okay, and you see the loss rates going down. First we got 89% loss rate, and then we're going down, not 89%, 89.396. And look how the loss just drops with each epoch. It's incredible. We'll go to the next step. These things are so fast now. Right. There's a lot going on here. Run inference with an attention trace. For each word, we print the Spanish word the decoder looked at most, the card it slides to the center of the table. So inference here in machine learning just means like a prediction. So when we see the heart and we guess that means like or love, that's an inference, okay? So here we got Yo quiero Taco Bell. One of my teachers in high school was from Puerto Rico, and they don't say yo there, they say Joe, or at least she said Joe. And that's how she taught us, so sometimes that slips out in my Spanish. So we make Yo quiero Taco Bell into numbers here, right? Remember we had that table where each Spanish word had a whole integer number. The encoder reads them, and then we write the English. And here we got the intention score, as you can see. So that's kind of cool. And then for the word for want, we got the intention scores, with quiero having the biggest one. And for Taco Bell's got the largest attention score at 0.9. Right, so there's softmax, which means it's from 0 to 1, and it's some long decimal, which is kind of like a percentage if you think about it. And then EOS just here means end of segment or end of sentence. And it translates Yo quiero Taco Bell into I want Taco Bell. So we just did it and it worked. It's pretty impressive. And it does the same thing for nosotros queremos agua, which means we want water. Okay, and then you can just go through all that. So yeah, you've got all the code here. Go around, go through it, play with it, mess it up, break stuff. What do they say in Silicon Valley? Move fast and break stuff. If you really screw it up, you can just re-download it right from your account. So go ahead and break it. We just lost the backlight there. I think that means we're near the end of the lesson. Okay, so to recap. We've introduced the concept of attention, which means we take all of the vectors, all of the memory states, the long, short-term memory states, and we pay different amounts of attention to each one. And in our metaphor, that means they're further or closer to our center of attention on the desk. And that's the next step up in our exploration of these sequence-to-sequence models. The source sequence being the Spanish sentence, for example, and the target sequence being the English one. So we've got a sequence-to-sequence model with attention, meaning we pay attention to all the memory states, all the index cards, but in different amounts, because we'll just go crazy if we try to look at them all at once. So we just look at concentrate on one and pay different amounts of attention to different ones. And here you've got the amount of tension mapped out. All right. So I know that's going to be like headache inducing at first. Just keep grinding at it, keep plugging away at it. It really helps me to visualize it. I'm a visual learner. I theorize we all are deep down visual learners, and that's just kind of how the brain works. But I'll get off my soapbox. But just keep going back through the lessons and keep repeating until it makes sense, and just keep banging your head against the wall until one day you're just going to wake up and be like, oh, I get it. Okay. So thank you for your time. Congratulations if you made it this far. Look, I mean, the lights are out, and we did it. All right. That's all I got for you today, and peace out.